fuel door is located next to the passenger door. All of our vans take gasoline, and you can use regular unleaded. Supreme is not necessary. The passenger seat swivels in trekker vans. In order to point the seat rearward or forward, you must actuate the lever underneath the front of the seat. Here is the lever. This bar slides the seat forward and backward like a normal seat. Actuate the seat by lifting the lever and pushing away. Here you want to check if you're going to hit the B pillar of the van. If so, slide the seat forward so that you have an arm's clearance. Then continue to rotate the seat to the rearward position. There are two safety notes associated with the swivel seat. One, do not ride in it facing backwards. And two, when you return it to the forward position, rotate back the way you came. During your trip, you will be rotating the seat back and forth and back and forth. You do not want to continue rotating the seat in the same direction because you will twist up the seat belt. Here you can see a typical car seat in the rear-facing position. The second row seat is a bench seat with 2 seat belts. Both seat locations have shoulder belts. However, only the passenger side of the double seat has the latch system. This second row seat is also removable if you are a party of 2 and would like more space. In between the second row seat and the kitchen box, you will find the 30-liter refrigerator. This refrigerator runs off an auxiliary battery that is charged while the van is running. There is enough capacity in the auxiliary battery to run this fridge for 2 days straight without starting the van. If you are going to camp for 3 days straight, we ask that you turn the fridge off at the end of the second day or start the van and let it idle for around 30 minutes to get you another night's capacity for the refrigerator. Turn on the refrigerator by rotating the dial clockwise. The noon to 1 o'clock position equates to a normal refrigerator operating temperature. If you rotate the dial all the way clockwise to the 3 or 4 o'clock position, it may freeze your food. Turn off the fridge by rotating the dial all the way counterclockwise until the dial indicates at a 6 o'clock position. The sink is actuated by this lever. Air may come out initially. Continue pumping until water comes out. That is the priming process. Storage drawer is located next to the sink. Remove the strap and slide the drawer out to reveal added storage and added counter space. Note that these are not cutting boards. The water system is located below the sink behind this cover. Here you will find 7 gallons of fresh water and 7 gallons for gray water, where the sink drains. If you need to refill the 7-gallon freshwater tank, note that that also means that you need to drain the gray water tank because that is where the water now is. In order to refill the freshwater tank, simply slide it out, quick release on the feed hose, and remove it for filling. In order to drain the gray water tank, simply slide it out, drain it in a safe manner, turn it to its place, and slide the hose back over the fitting. Behind the second row, you will find a storage compartment. This is where we place the bedding. In the back of the van, you will find a dinette that converts into a queen-size bed. Lift the tabletop. Temporarily rest it here. There's a black release lock button I push down with my foot. Unscrew the leg. Place the tabletop between the bench seats and then fold the cushion down. The reverse process is simple. But please note, this surface can be sharp, so watch your hands. Start the leg in the boss, lift the low side, and it will settle down. In the rear compartment, you will find most of the supplies. Here you will find a small roll of visors for the front passenger and driver door, a large sun visor for the windshield, a Tupperware with sheets and cans of fuel, a Tupperware for the cookware, 2 camping chairs, camping stove, and a camping table. You will also find the yellow bottle jack in case you get a flat, and if you have a rooftop tent, you will find the crank for actuating the rooftop tent back here. The cookware consists of cups, plates, bowls, skillet, a pot, coffee maker with filters, spatula, spoon, cutting board, and silverware. The winch to lower the spare is accessed by this little cover on the rear step. The spare is underneath the back of the van. This cover in the passenger footwell pops off. Behind it you will find the lug wrench / tire iron and the handle for the yellow jack previously discussed in the rear compartment. Opening the rooftop tent starts with the locks. One of these locks is in the rear, and 2 of these locks are in the front. Be sure that all 3 are unlocked. We will provide you with the second ladder to assist in raising and lowering the rooftop tent. Please take this ladder with you. You will need it unless you are 8 feet tall. Raising the rooftop tent begins with finding the handle. The handle is tied to a rope that is secured to the rear storage box. Open the box and look inside and you will find it. Please do not disconnect the rope, and please do not lose the handle. It is the only handle that you have. In order to raise the tent, you must insert the handle into this hole in the rear of the tent. Note that there is a pin inside the handle that must line up with the slot machined in the shaft in the hole in the rear of the tent. Make sure that the pin is fully seated in this machined notch. Again, make sure that the pin in the handle is fully seated in the notch in the end of the shaft. Nothing will happen unless the pin is aligned with the notch. You want the pin to align with the notch and push all the way in to make sure it is seated. At this point, we rotate the handle clockwise to raise the tent. In the tent, you will find a second ladder. These are the ladders that come with our tents. They are telescoping ladders, and they lock with these pins. In order to unlock the ladder, you rotate each pin 90 degrees. At this point, you can hook the ladder with the hooks over the side of the tent and let the ladder lower down to the ground. At this point, you want to make sure that you have a clearance between the ladder and the glass. You do not want to break the glass, so this is super important. Now the next step is to lock the ladder. You do that by rotating the pins 90 degrees and then extending the lower portion only of the ladder until the pins snap into place. At this point, you have the minimum length of ladder. You want to be careful not to have the ladder at too shallow of an angle because it is not designed for that, and that is more of a bridge. So this is about how you like the ladder. Again, make sure you have a safe space in between the window and the ladder. To collapse the ladder, pull it off of the van, rotate the locking pins 90 degrees, let it slide down, relock the pins in the collapsed position. Then we will put the ladder back inside the rooftop tent with the hooks facing up and towards the back of the tent. And center it on the pad. Note that the ladder is the only thing that is allowed in the tent when you stow the tent. Take all of the bedding out, take all of the pillows out, take all of your gear out. It is a very tight space, and only the ladder is allowed to be up here. To lower the tent is the reverse of raising the tent, except we need to take extra care to make sure that we do not pinch the fabric in between the hard shell, top and bottom of the tent. We insert the handle onto the shaft. We make sure that the pin is fully seated, and we rotate counterclockwise until the top of the tent is around a hand's width from the bottom of the tent. The fabric of the tent needs to be tucked inside the hard shell in order for it to stow. It is important to notice that the front and rear of the tent have a frame on the inside called a scissor lift. This scissor lift will cut the fabric, and that is what we are trying to avoid. In order to prevent the tent from cutting itself, we will need to do the following. In the front and rear only, pull the fabric away from the tent and roll it up tightly. And tuck it just inside. This prevents the fabric from getting trapped within the scissor lift that is in the front and rear of the tent. On the sides of the tent, you can directly tuck it in without fear of it getting pinched in the scissor lift. The provided ladder is here to aid you in tucking the tent fabric inside of the tent shells. On the sides, you can lift a little and push the fabric in. Remember, there's no frame on the sides. That is only in the front and rear. The front of the tent also has a frame like we discussed in the rear. That same pulling and rolling and tucking of the fabric procedure needs to be executed. Pull the fabric down. Roll it up. Tuck it. Do not worry if you do not get the far side perfectly tucked. We will go around the van with the ladder for that. Okay, the hard work is now done. At this point, we lower the tent until it is just above the base, but not all the way. And then we do a check and we look for fabric all the way around the tent. At this point, we check the seam between the hard top and the hard bottom for fabric sticking out. We will go the full circumference of the van for a sanity check to make sure we do not have fabric sticking out. If we do, like this, we simply tuck it in. At this point, we have checked the circumference for any fabric sticking out, and we can lower the tent. Note that here, once you are at the base level of the tent, the handle is useless, and you just want to pull it out. Don't tighten the tent with the handle. After we have lowered the tent all the way, we have to latch the 3 latches. These are called over-center clamps, and they consist of a hook, a D-ring, and a handle. The D-ring goes over the hook, but in order for the D-ring to reach over the hook, the handle has to be down. Here you can see the action. What we want to check for here is resistance when we close. We want there to be positive engagement when the handle closes. If there is not, we can tighten it a half turn at a time. In this case, I went 1.5 turns. So there is. If it's too tight, you need to loosen it. Please be aware of this. There's 1 handle / lock in the rear and 2 in the front. The 2 locks in the front are the most important. If these come undone on the freeway, then it's really bad news. First thing we do is put weight on top of the tent to make sure it is fully settled. Then we check to see if the D-ring will clear the hook. Note that fiberglass changes shape in the sun with different temperatures, so this position may be different day to day. In this case, it's not reaching, so we're going to unscrew it a couple turns, put weight on top, and got it to pop over. Now, it engages with positive force. The lock on the driver's side is harder to reach. Please stay off of the roof. It will bend if you try to climb on it. Again, put weight on top. Get the D-ring over the hook, and then close the latch with positive engagement. Okay, the last step is to put the handle away. Remember, you only have one of these handles. That's why we tie a rope to it. Please do not forget to remove it from the tent and stow it in the rear storage compartment. Thank you.